The greatest secret on this earth is you, and keeping you hypnotized to a trance of lies was the greatest deception ever invented. Your human body is composed of the earth, but the true you that created and animates your human body now is light energy. The real you is animating your human body from the energy fields above the surface. You exist in a realm ruled by dark energy that traps light energy under a dark blanket of deception. You give life to the earth as well as the human body you believe to be you. You exist in a realm that hypnotizes you upon entry. You coexist with other beings of light energy who as well are in a trance of accepting human concepts, rituals, and games of make-believe. Every one of you is attached to the environments of your human bodies and the human world. I need to show you just how the terrarium called Earth is designed to operate just like clockwork. The world you exist in is 100% obviously a designed environment. Just as the clock has gears, so does the Earth have spheres. This environment you exist in is a creation, and nothing is created without a purpose. So ask yourself, what is the true purpose of the Earth? Why was this place developed? And who or what created this realm? Your maps are wrong. Your globes are wrong. And your awareness of portals that connect the Earth to other worlds, or even the world below, needs to be understood. So you have been told your world is a round globe. And from this illusion, scholars calculate the world is spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour. As I said earlier, the base platform is a deception. So all of the other bricks of information added will create the pyramid of lies. It is the spheres within the Earth that create the visual perception that even little towns seemed curved in appearance. Naturally, the higher one gets into the airs above, the same spheres will continue to create the same curved illusion. The Earth's surface is a flat parallel field within a sphere. It is not a globe. Only in a world of deceit can an organized plan to keep the masses of humans oblivious to the obvious occur. For children's sake, the word oblivious means unaware. The globe illusion is impossible. The oceans would never hold together no more than the buildings on land. The gravity theory is nonsense. The gravity required to hold the waters of the oceans in place would also pull every boat, big and small, to the core below instantly. And as for a spinning globe revolving over 1,000 miles per hour, ridiculous. A simple jump from a parachute out of a plane confirms the lie. Parachuting is regulated by designated drop zones, which could not be achieved if the Earth was spinning around over 1,000 miles per hour. The human parachuting would end up in another town completely. Far from the designated airport structure they are regulated to land in. The ground level surface of the Earth is a flat parallel field. The midfield of energy distribution where the clouds travel also runs parallel, and so does the highest field where all light is distributed also run parallel. Recognizing the flatness of these three parallel fields, as well as the perceptions of curvature created by the spheres, will help you to now see how the Earth is truly designed as a dome from top to bottom. So let's start at the top. I will concentrate on just giving you evidence that the skies you see high above exist within the Earth and are not beyond the Earth. From here you will see the highest field, the midfield, and low field. They are all part of one intricate design. Many humans watch the sun and the moon rise from the east and then go north and then settle to the west. However, some humans get to watch the sun or the moon rise from the east and then go to the south before finally settling in the west. Your visual perception of whether the sun and the moon transits to the north or to the south all depends on what side of the Earth you live in. Furthermore, depending on what side of the Earth you are in, the craters of the so-called moon are upside down in comparison to what the humans see on the opposite side of the Earth. Now you are about to completely understand why. The moon and sun spheres generally travel down the center of the highest field. For easier understanding, to make what you are hearing crystal clear, the spheres of the moon and the sun travel down the center of a grid. To understand the design of the skies above, you will need to recognize it is patterned along a grid system. Then the secret veil of the skies magically unfold before your eyes. The grid of the skies is evident in the fact the positions of the moon, sun, or stars can be predicted daily, monthly, and yearly. They all follow a pattern, just like clockwork. And this also confirms the highest field above is a creation by design within the Earth itself. Theories of cosmic coincidences between the sun and the moon working together perfectly in outer space, all due to a cosmic fluke, is just plain ridiculous. Every human can plainly see the evidence of the clockwork in the sun and the moon spheres. The two spheres follow a perfect design along a grid system within the Earth twice a year. The absolute evidence that the sun and the moon are part of a grid system is confirmed in two seasonal solstices, which occur on the first day of summer and the first day of winter. And what is a solstice? It is a reference to the sun, basically meaning the longest or shortest day of sunshine in the year. The sun sphere repeats the same pattern over and over again, every year after year, just like clockwork. Have you ever heard of polar days and polar nights? They only occur in the so-called north or south polar circles, hence they are named polar days and polar nights. Simply put, a polar night of all-day darkness lasts up to 1 month for a city, and a polar day of all-day sunlight lasts in a city for up to 2 months or more, every year. Coincidentally, the polar day, also called the midnight sun event, happens in the North Pole only during the summer solstice, while to the opposite, the polar day occurs in the south only during the winter solstice, just like clockwork. I do not want to confuse children here, so I need to make this simpler. What was just explained is that the exact same polar event occurs on opposite sides of the world during opposite solstice seasons, just like clockwork. And finally, both polar regions of the Earth experience their solstices at the same time, but the seasons are completely opposite. The North Pole experiences the summer solstice during the summer, and the winter solstice during the winter. However, it is the total opposite for the South Pole, as the summer solstice occurs during the winter, and the winter solstice occurs during the summer, just like clockwork. The moon reaches a high and low level in the skies every 2 weeks, and the moon also reaches its highest position within the year during the winter solstice, while reaching its lowest position of the year during the summer solstice. However, the sun only reaches a high and low level during the two solstices. The sun and the moon follow a formula that is perfectly connected with the formula of the Earth, just like clockwork. Now, I'll make this as simple as possible for you to understand the next evidence of clockwork and design along a grid system known as a solar eclipse. Since the event called a lunar eclipse has nothing to do with the sun, I will focus only on the solar eclipse. The so-called lunar event, where the moon seems to glow red, occurs for the same reason the moon can turn harvest gold, or why the clouds in the sky sometimes appear red. It is an atmospheric reflection, no different than the rainbow. As for partial or full solar eclipses, they can generally be predicted long in advance, which again confirms a pattern of design. This confirms the spheres of the sun and the moon both crisscross along the center of a grid system within the Earth itself. When the sun crisscrosses the center of the grid to the north or south, this also creates the yearly solstices and polar days. And as they crisscross along the center, the sphere of the moon sometimes overlaps the sphere of the sun, just like clockwork. Ironically, the sphere of the sun never overlaps the sphere of the moon, and for a damn good reason. If the sun did overlap the moon, a great deception would be revealed when humans could still see the moon craters within the sun. They would know the sun is hollow. The reason for polar days and nights, as well as solstices and eclipses, are all due to the crisscross pattern of the sun traveling across the center grid. The Earth is not a spinning globe tilted on an axis of roughly 23 degrees, but in fact, the grid way above is positioned 23 degrees off the center of what is referred to as the equator. The clockwork of the sun and the moon prove the high field above exists within the Earth itself. It is the spheres within the Earth that give the visual perception of the sun and the moon rising or setting along the low points of the arc within the spheres. Prolonged film exposure of the starry constellations above as well today reveals another big secret and confirmation that the lights above do exist within the Earth. When stars are filmed over long periods of time, the amazing pattern you will see is a sphere, as though they exist inside of a dome. These pictures, termed star trails, confirm the design of the Earth is a composition of invisible spheres, creating the lenses of perception, and also confirm the stars in the sky follow a perfect pattern, as do the sun and the moon, just like clockwork. And this leads to the secret of the magic mirror down the center of the grid in the highest field above, which creates the best illusions of refraction inside the Earth, including twinkling little stars. For children, refraction simply means a redirection of light, to keep it simple. The sun and moon refractions are also part of a mirror maze.